Welcome to Pinterest Outfits Reports, and we are doing the direct consumer fashion retailer edition. I have not done it for you guys, but I know I said at the top of the year that I will be tapping back in with you guys for 2026 and beyond, because I have definitely been closing out opportunity for you guys as I was reconstructing a lot of things within the business due to the pandemic, as well as just changing up our mission and vision. But I definitely wanted to do a Pinterest outfit report because it is very important as someone who has two target demos. I'm definitely in the closet and in consultations with professionals as well as retailers. So it is very important that I give you guys also the scoop, because I'm also just the liaison of, feeding you guys information and insights. So with us having Pinterest as our number one tool for communication and just building up a marketing strategy or seeing how things work, I think this is a great opportunity for you guys to kind of just see free. You guys can get a nice little glimpse of what we have to offer. So what is MIIEN Consultancy's Pinterest outfit report? So every 60 days, MIIEN Consultancy spotlights the top and low performing outfits from our Pinterest profile. I'm not doing it in general. I'm doing it straight off of our profile. This is curated through the lens of style, brand, and visual impact. And me, which is the director of style and fashion identity, Mikara Reid, breaks down what makes each look work, how it connects with an audience, and what it means for product presentation and brand perspective. So product presentation, I mean like visual merchandising or how your product branding, and how in brand perception is how your brand is being received from the outsiders, everyone else. So at MIIEN, our mission is to help you discover your fashion identity one client at a time. These video reports are your first step towards building a brand with impact and fashion identity. So if you're not familiar, or if we know what this is new for you guys, so I'm going to do the breakdown of what each section will go over. So the first section will be the branding at a glance. That is a quick look at the outfits, the lowest and the top performing within our platform, what made it stand out on Pinterest, and the immediate visual impression it creates for a brand or a product. The next one is how the styling captures customers, what this look communicates to new and returning customers, and why it draws them in, builds loyalty, or creates desire for the product. Next one is branding or moment. Does this add or take away from your fashion identity? Honest look at whether this styling choice strengthens a brand's long-term identity or reads as a trend that doesn't quite fit the story they're telling. And lastly, which is the final verdict, this is my styling and branding moves when it comes to the image. This is the verdict that the expert, take on the details that work, what could be redefined in the final word on what this look means for product presentation and brand perception. Let's go into our profile. We're going to see on the back end so that you guys can see that we are operating on the organic type of impressions as well as engagements, so that you guys can kind of see. For your group, which is the direct-to-consumer, we are operating on the lowest and the highest. So I kind of already know what the highest is because I've recorded for the professionals. So here is the top performing outfits within the time period. The time period is from the first week of January. I want to say that's somewhere around January 3rd to March the 2nd or 1st or somewhere like that. I'm just winging it, but I know it's around those dates that we are doing the 60 days. We're doing the observation during the 2-month period. So this is the look. I'm already familiar with the look, so it's not going to be a raw reaction because I've already expected, as I mentioned, but we're going to look for you retailers. I want you to look at the impressions. This is all organic. I have not boosted or did anything to it. I have not I have not boosted it or anything. And this is the amount of clicks that it has received. Let's tap into the stats so that you guys can kind of just see. So I have not looked when this particular image was posted, but it definitely picked up steam around the March. It just skyrocketed around that last period, that last ending. The clicks are kind of different, but that is the gist of it. So let's get into my segments of this look. Let's zoom right on in. So this is the look at its closest. So this is a green floral type of blouse with purple accents, flowers, no jewelry. You have the metallic silver skirt. That is a pencil skirt. You have sheer hosiery, and then you have also this sheer gloves as well. So this is a top performing type of look. We're not going to get into the brand and who they are, what they do. I'm basing it off of look. I specifically said look. This is called the Alpha Report, and individuals, particularly people on Pinterest, they are shopping, and if you grab their attention immediately, they're not going to look you up most of the time. I'm not going to say it's all the time, but most of the time they're not going to just, let me just look them up. They're going to see what else you have, but as far as like your origin of your story, you kind of need to gravitate. You kind of need to grab their attention. So the branding at a glance, and when I say branding, I'm talking about just the visual aspect, the colors, the styling. That is the visual impact, the identity of what we are looking at, the product, the collection. So this look immediately just stands out. Number one, because of the color contrast in the material. When you put these two together, this is something that is not normal that a person would do, depending on who your audience is. Who my other target audiences, which are professional women, they are not gonna, think to put metallic silver together with this type of soft, delicate type of, not I want to say material, but design or color scheme. And then on top of that, the gloves, I'm not really sure if the glove trend is still even on, or if I've even styled anyone with wearing gloves lately. But depending on your audience, I can't define everyone or paint everyone with the same brush. But aesthetically, the look contrast definitely grabs your attention. This shade of green is definitely on the warmer side, because green is naturally a cool color, but this is more on the lemon lime type of side. So it definitely kind of just draws you in, like, oh, what is this? It definitely piques your interest. So the color contrast, the pairing of the two, the flower at top, and then you have the skirt. Those are two pairings that normally people would not wear. And then just the visual energy of this whole entire presentation. It's not flashy, but again, the contrast between the two definitely piques your interest. And if you are zoomed in like how I am, don't mind me, I have stylist eyes. I am looking at every detail and picking this apart. This is what I do in a consultation when I am trying to elevate the visibility of a brand. And this is what you want to do. This is what you do when we're strategizing and trying to pick apart your identity and trying to build it. The visual green floral blouse, like I said, it draws the attention first. It creates a focal point. And also green, it's just not one of those colors that is picked, but this shade of green it definitely gives like a focal point that stops you from scrolling. Or if you were just to open up Pinterest and you see this right on your screen, it's like, oh, what is this? And you click on it. Another thing that also draws the attention of the customer is the metallic silver pencil skirt. It introduces a reflection. And also metallic silver was definitely very popular not too long ago. If you were one of the people that went to a Beyonce concert, I forgot who else did like the metallic type of feel, but metallic silver was just a trend, and some people are still trying to incorporate that in their style. So that draws an attention. For a brand, this kind of styling works if your customer base, if you're already built in customer base, that's who I'm talking to, people, the retailers who already have a customer base, and you are trying to figure out what they gravitate to as far as like your identity. So if this works if your customer base appreciates, or they know you as someone who incorporates silver or mixing and matching, unique type of print together, then this would work. This would definitely work. For from a merchandising perspective, this outfit communicates I want to say performative dressing, but it's polished. When I say performative, this is something that's outside of your norm. That's similar to if I were talking to an individual, this is something that they would not normally wear, but they are piecing things together to make it work, or they're trying to sell to kind of grab their attention. You would probably put this in the window or at the header, at the fold of your website, so that you can grab someone's attention and, oh, what's this? Let me see what else they have like this. Or maybe they have something more toned down. It definitely just piques their interest. So let's go into the next one. Why this styling captures customers. The color. Color is doing most of the work when you strip this down. If you were to put this image in all black and white, or just strip away the design of the shirts, as well as just the indents of the design of the skirt, the silhouette has already been done before. Everything has already been done, but when you put these color pairings together, again, it draws the attention. As I mentioned before, the branding at glance, the color is doing most of the work here. Green often evokes versatility, freshness, and confidence, and I want to say also growth. If I'm not mistaken, it definitely signals optimism. What makes this garment feel visually energizing when someone encounters it online, which makes this garment feel more visually energizing when someone is encountering it online. The floor print adds an emotional softness type of approach. Customers tend to respond strongly to print that feel expressive but still wearable. So what I mean by that is having something that is relatable, or something that's sentimental to them, and it's like wearable for them. It's something that is like too outlandish. They're oftentimes second guessing it, depending on what they are, who they are, and what they do. They don't want to be overwhelmed with the blouse or the look that they wear it one time, and then they're just like, oh, let me just toss the thing. Let me just toss it in the closet, and I'll never think about it. We don't want that to be your brand. The metallic skirt adds aspiration. Shiny material kind of limits you depending on who your audience is. Again, my other audience, they're more on the professional side. They're like C-level and upper management. Metallic will not work. And if your customer does that while also running a personal brand, this skirt will limit you. And if that's the case, you would need to do like a survey and kind of ask the appropriate questions to make them, to have them provide you the information that you need, so that you can be successful with picking the right material or colors that will have return investments in you. But this color silver, the shininess, the shiny texture definitely signals something special, and I want to say editorial like fashion magazine, and feels less of like your everyday type of look. The contrast between wearable and aspirational is often what drives the engagement a lot of times when it comes to Pinterest. So together, this styling communicates confidence, fashion forward type of customer. Maybe they're looking for something on theme like the silver skirt. And what else is this? It definitely communicates a brand that is comfortable with mixing unconventional colors, for sure. And lastly, pieces that can be functional as statement items within a wardrobe. So for retailers, this type of styling tends to generate a lot of saves and engagements. So if you are interested in finding like a trick, keeping the background clean and having that one wow combination that really just allows you to kind of just blossom will possibly give you the engagement that you've been looking for, or you want to drive a lot of traffic to your page. So let's go on to branding or moment. Does this add or take away from your fashion identity? This very much depends. This is something that is like more on an intimate type of level when it comes to me asking during a consultation. This question is more geared towards, are you doing this for the trend, or are you doing this because this is a part of a legacy within your brand? Is this a part of your brand's DNA? The success of this look does depend on your brand identity. If the brand positions itself as centered and bold and expressive and unconventional, futuristic, then this can add to your brand and really resonate and communicate a sense of who you are as well as some type of creative direction. But if the brand identity is rooted in a minimalistic or classic wardrobe staple pieces, the metallic element may feel slightly disconnected when it comes to your brand story as well as your customers. They kind of like, I don't really like this. And just by them looking at that one outfit, they may just X out that whole collection and just kind of forget about you. So in other words, this styling works when the brand's visual identity already supports the unconventional metallic type of texture and color combination. But if you don't, then you may be taking a huge chance that you may be regretting, because that customer may not come back to your brand. So lastly, Mikara's styling and branding moves, which is the verdict. What works well here is the hierarchy of attention. When I say this, it's because, again, of the skirts, silver, shininess, depending on what the person does, it's not always a win-win if your customer is not that fashion forward type of girl. But if they do enjoy the blouse combination, this can be a go for you. The blouse commands the eye attention, which is probably one of the things that people are going to look at first, because green is such one of the colors that's not worn often, especially this shade of green, while the metallic skirt supports the visual drama without competing too heavily. From a brand perspective, this is a strong example of styling that creates an editorial meets e-commerce styling that has a great visual impact while still allowing the individual to kind of take one piece at a time and say, you know what, I like the blouse, but I don't like the bottom. I don't like the shininess. Maybe I want to know if is this top available. If I were to refine the presentation of the product merchandising, I honestly wouldn't. Depending on your brand story, it's a lot that goes into this, and I don't like to just kind of just give one answer type of things, but I just really like to study the customer's behavior pattern within your database to kind of see what is selling fast, what is selling slow, what color patterns has been selling out. Those are one of the questions that I ask when we're doing an assessment. But just at a glimpse of this for the final verdict, I honestly would not change a thing about this, especially when it comes to selling a product, because I know what it is you have to do to psychologically and from a sales standpoint, because this is essentially silent selling, what you kind of need to do to grab a person's attention without saying, hey, come into my store, or hey, tap on this link. You kind of need to grab their attention without doing all the bells and whistles. So that is my answer for the top performing look. Let's go on to the low performing look. All right, here it is. So this is the low performing. Let me take a moment to look at everything, because now this is going to be a raw moment because we don't look at top selling. I wanted to give you guys something very much so different compared to the professionals edition, because I feel like it's very important that retailers need to look at the top and the lowest selling so that you guys can get your return on investment. There's definitely a different approach that you guys need to take when it comes to positioning and selling yourself. So when it comes to the low performing look, it is a very structured and exaggerated type of suit. Love the color. The color is great, but at first glance, the look communicates very structured, disciplined, and unconventional tailoring. I don't know what woman would want to make her shoulders this much bigger and wider when you are going in for a cinch waist. I mean, in editorials, yes, but an everyday type of woman, again, I have professionals, those are my other targets, they're not going to want to do this. When you talk to an everyday type of woman, I've never heard a woman say that they want their shoulders to be this exaggerated. So this automatically just draws a lot of attention. The tailoring is beautifully done. The coloring is beautiful. As far as the skirt, I love the skirt. The bag is right on par, as well as the shoes. It's the shoulders that really draw in that attention, that I want to say unflattering attention in my opinion, that kind of just takes away this very architectural type of silhouette. That is great for magazines. It's great for performative. That's what I like to categorize it. You guys are not my clients. You guys are not in my office. So I categorize things as performative or situational, but this right here is very, very performative dressing. It's performative fashion. You would see these things on like celebrities if they're doing performances, or they are sitting down on a broadcast, and anything of that type of artistic where they need to be the spotlight. That is where it's at. The sharply structured shoulders and the elongated. The torso is not so bad, but it's the shoulders for me that are very, just so much so structured and big. That is the branding at first glance. If I were to redefine this, I would take in if you are known for exaggerated stuff, like this is who you are, you take traditional type of styles and you pick an area that exaggerates it, then that is what you do. But again, this didn't perform very well. The color is not outside the norm. Nothing else is outside the norm except for the shoulders. And this is why it's not doing very well. Yeah, this look just reads more editorial than shoppable in most cases. Maybe the skirts is more shoppable, but when they look at the shoulders and say, who would wear that? They're not going to look at, most of the time they're not going to look at the rest of it. The neutral gray palette, the minimal styling and restricted, and she has no accessories. It creates a look that feels very high-end and concept-driven. Again, I label this as performative type of fashion, and that's not really going to be high shoppable when it comes to your everyday type of person. So let's go into the next one. How this styling captures customers. When we analyze why a look underperforms on Pinterest, we ask a key question. Does the viewer see themselves wearing this? And off the bat, no. I don't know what woman will want to really exaggerate her shoulders like a man. This kind of gives like a muscular man type of shoulders, and women don't want that a lot of the times. But the tailoring, the high collar, that's a preference type of thing, is okay. The color is great, it's fabulous, but the structured shoulders is a very visual, strong statement, and it kind of just gives a manly type of silhouette that does not exude well on a woman, because women like to be soft most of the time, and that's not a shoppable approach. For direct-to-consumer retailers, the platform performs best when styling feels achievable, adaptable, and just relatable. Again, I label this performative because one of the reasons, because it's just not relatable. It's not something that you would wear on an everyday basis. That is why I categorize that. And if you are listening to this, you should definitely take note. All right, let's go on to the next one. Branding or moments. Does this take away or add from your identity? This is where the distinction between brand identity and moment-based styling becomes important. If a brand's identity is rooted as avant-garde tailoring, architecture silhouettes, or luxury editorial storytelling, this look absolutely reinforces that narrative. But for many direct-to-consumer fashion brands, especially those using Pinterest to drive product discovery or conversions, this styling may feel very disconnected from the broader brand message. The outfit becomes more of a fashion statement for the moment than a brand building tool for you. And on a discovery platform like Pinterest, clarity of brand story, of a brand story, is what ultimately drives engagement. All right, I hope you guys are taking notes. As someone who uses Pinterest a lot, whether it's with my team, whether it's for me personally, or with me consulting with my clients, and you guys have seen a glimpse of my analytics, which is mainly organic. I'm trying to help you guys and give you guys some tool on what is working and what is not working. And lastly, the verdict, which is my styling and branding moves. My final takeaway on this look comes down to presentation strategy. As far as styling, it's not all about, what you have in the background and how much creative it is. The tailoring itself is exceptional. It is magnificent. It is chef's kiss. But the silhouette is, the silhouette, the shoulders is not it. It's not it. It's very reminiscent of a male's physique, and women don't identify with that. That's not our natural build. Yes, we have shoulder pads and stuff like that, but it does not sculpt or bulk up that proportion that much. If someone were to have, busty breasts, to not only have busty breasts, but you also just have these exaggerated shoulders, it's just not a flattering type of physique. And it's just not striking. So that is why the Pinterest performance is not doing well on our platform. For Pinterest performance, the styling would benefit from contextual storytelling. For example, introducing a softer styling elements, showing the pieces in a real world environment, or pairing it with a more approachable accessory. These shifts help bridge the gap between high fashion design and consumer imagination. For direct-to-consumer retailers, the goal is always to style products in a way that allows the customer to see the brand and see themselves in the brand at the same time, not capture the moment. I say this again, don't chase the moment, be the moment. And that balance is what ultimately drives Pinterest engagement and brand growth. Let me put them side to side. Top performing look, number 1, and the lowest performing look right here. I want to hear from you guys. Let me know down below, as well as customers. If you guys, customers or just women just, observing, or men in your into fashion, let me know what was your favorite. Was it the top performing in the green or the low performing? And what was it about it if you would wear, so that these brands can know? And that wraps up this edition of MIIEN Consultancy's Pinterest outfit report for direct-to-consumer fashion retailers. If you're planning your next marketing campaign or product story, I encourage you to follow MIIEN Consultancy on Pinterest. It's where we continuously share curated outfit inspiration, styling ideas, and visual direction that can help inform your next creative project or merchandising strategy. If you're ready to move beyond inspiration and want a more personalized approach to how your products are presented to customers, you can apply for our personalized fashion services, which are styling, merchandising, and creative direction. At MIIEN Consultancy, we work with direct-to-consumer fashion retailers to help define their fashion identity and strengthen how their products connect with the people they're trying to reach. We'd also love to hear from you. What were your thoughts on today's top-performing look and the low-performing look? If your brand was featured on our Pinterest stage, what would you do differently in your styling or presentation? Start the conversation in the comments. These discussions are where great ideas begin. And finally, we are welcoming fashion retailers and fashion-related partners for our editorial features. If you're interested in being considered, you'll find the link in the description with more information. Serious inquiries only. Until next time, continue observing what captures attention, because the way your products are styled and presented always shapes how customers experience your brand. We'll see you in the next Pinterest outfit report.